Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Mobby here. Today we're going to be reviewing Moonlighter 2 The Endless Vault. As usual, I'm going to show you some gameplay, go over the good, the bad, and if I ultimately recommend this game, so stay tuned for all of that. First of all, the game was developed and published by Digital Sun and 11-Bit Studios. The version that I played is going to be the Steam version. The game released on November 19th in Early Access 2025. Now the genre here is going to be a roguelike, dungeon crawler, action, and a shopkeeping simulator. My initial expectations for this game were very high because I really did like the first game. And as usual, all the gameplay you're going to be seeing today is straight from the Let's Play channel. Link down in the comments and description if you want to go see my full playthrough that I'm uploading. Alright, so the premise and setting. This takes place pretty much right after the first game. You gather lots of treasures and going deep in dungeons. However, you open the wrong one. Now your town is under the control of monsters and of course a big baddie who are searching for more than just treasures maybe. After a little while of acclimating with the monsters in the town, a mysterious entity pops up, like some cube, and asks you to make runes, which is the money in the game, for rewards and wishes. And one of the wishes could potentially be saving your town. So now, as usual, you have your expertise. You open up your shop and dive into new dungeons. Let's go over the gameplay and the core mechanics. First, let's talk about the roguelike portion of here. So pretty much you are going to be dungeon diving. This is an action RPG, so you're going to be controlling Will with a top down. I am pretty much using a controller here, the Xbox one, which is really nice. It's twin stick, so you have your basic attacks and your special attacks that you can use with different sort of weapons. You have like sword, great sword, spears, and my favorite are going to be like the gauntlets. They're really fast, right? So you have a dodge button, you have your HP, and you are also using a gun in this game, which can be, traded out and upgraded, etc. And you're going to be going through different nodes. Pretty much you start from a basic monster fight, and then it's kind of like a Slay the Spire or a regular, roguelike node where you get to see exactly what's coming up next. You have treasure rooms, you have skill rooms, elite runes, etc. The different skills on the runs are pretty interesting because you have a chance of getting two different types of perk. There's like a wound perk, a lightning perk, a foam perk, etc. You get to see it at the start of a run, so you know exactly which ones you can work towards. And they all do different things. For example, the wounding perk allows you to do kind of different things depending on the weapon you have, but basically it revolves around just doing more damage, stacking up debuffs, etc. The foam perk is a little different. You can sometimes get more loot, so that's pretty cool. In this game, in the roguelike dungeon portion, the whole goal of the thing is go as far as you can. It's a sort of a push your luck type of deal where you always have access to your teleport. You just hold down a certain button, and then after like 5 seconds or so, you can teleport back home. Now, why would you do that? That's because over the course of the run, the whole goal is to get treasures. Now you get treasures by opening up treasure chests, and then you can get different sorts of rarities. You got commons, elites, and rares. Doing so, you're supposed to put them in your very limited bag, which you can upgrade later. But basically, every room, every artifact comes with a sort of rating and rarity. So it can be a common 5-star, it could be a rare elite 20-star, and they come with different sorts of abilities. In the first section of the game, the first biome, the desert one, you can go inside, and sometimes an artifact can give another artifact, when you place it down in a certain direction, armor. You can also give them the ability to burn stuff. There are treasures that say when this is placed in the corner, it will burn every single artifact in the row, meaning it kind of disappears. You also have the opportunity to say, hey, as long as this artifact is in your inventory, everything that has armor gets plus. So basically the whole goal is to get a rarity in there, use the abilities, place them down in different sorts of ways, and in order to destroy them or give them armor, and basically upgrading their stars. Because when you go sell in town, which we'll talk about a bit, the higher rarity and the higher stars give you more money, and that's pretty much the goal of the game. And that's why it's a sort of push your luck aspect, because you can go, the further you go, the more treasures you get. The more treasures you get, it lets you customize and mess up with your treasure puzzles. So if you die, all of your treasures stay, but you lose a ton of raised stars on them, so you got to be really careful of that. All right, so that's the roguelike dungeon diving, elites, bosses, etc. Push your luck. Now for the second part is going to be the shopkeeping simulator aspect. So just like the first game, the whole goal is to get dungeons, grab treasures, and then sell your treasures. So in this game, you have a shop. Unfortunately, it's not your like father shop from the first game. It's sort of a new town, and you have, the building has been taken over by someone called Scratch. And they're saying, hey, you have to go sell things. I'm forcing you to sell things. So basically, you just do what you do best. You just sell artifacts. So after every run, you can do anything you need, but then you end the day by actually starting a selling sort of mini game where you have a basic starting shop with 4 pedestals. Each pedestal you can put an artifact on, you can put the price on. You can literally put any price you want. Then you open up the shop, people come in. They will look at the artifact and then they will give you a sort of emo. Either, oh, I don't like it. That means it's too high. Or they can go, oh, okay, basic smiley face means it's right, just right. But then there's other times when they have like money eyes, like cha-ching. That means you sold it for 2 less. So every time you sell something or you fail to sell something, you can go ahead and change it and mess around. Be like, okay, 500 was too much. I'm going to lower it down to 300 and see how they think. And that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. The higher sort of rarity you have, you can leave it on there for 300. Like you can have 2 of the same ones for 1 star and the other one's a 20 star, but they will sell for a little bit higher. So if the 1 star is 300, the other one will sell for like 500, but you list them both to 300, so it's not too confusing right there. And then you go ahead and sell things. Throughout the mini game, you're just waiting. You're pretty much, people come in, they leave, and you just have a small timer at the bottom, which doesn't give you an exact timer for some reason. I don't know why they didn't do it that way, but basically you sell things. The more you sell things, you can unlock temporary perks. So this is kind of another roguelike aspect, but not really. It's just perks for the mini game. For example, every single sort of artifact you sell gets better. Maybe they tip you a little bit more. Maybe a certain artifact will sell more, that sort of thing. So you find little temporary upgrades for the per mini game there. And then that is the shopkeeping simulator. Now, the next mechanic here is going to be the meta upgrades. What are you going to be doing with all of the money and resources that you gain? You get money from, of course, selling artifacts, but you also gain resources per biome. Like maybe sometimes you destroy some environmental stuff, you destroy a monster, you get like some little, not consumables, but they're resources that you can't really sell. Well, throughout the whole town, there's going to be NPCs where you can go and buy things, use those resources to unlock new weapon types and different weapon sets, armors, increase your bag space, which I highly recommend. You can get shop furniture as well, which increases the, how well you can run your shop. You can get even more pedestals, upgraded pedestals. You can get banners that say, hey, if anything on this specific, underneath this carpet will sell first, etc. And also you can increase your potion and health for perma upgrades. All this is perma upgrades for the meta. Now, for the overall goal of the game, you're going to be raising runes via selling. And remember that entity I talked about at the beginning of the game? Well, that is what you're going to be trying sort of appeasing. Think of it as like chapters. You're going to be unlocking new NPCs, different biomes, different gear, and you have a full town filled with NPCs that sometimes give you main quests and side quests. Now, moving over to the visuals, this is a change up from the sprite base that they had. This is full 3D. So you have the models and the environment, good colors, very thematic for each biome. There's like desert biome, sci-fi biomes. There's only a couple in the early access version. Okay, so that's the basics. Let's talk about the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses. Ooh, okay, I'll start with the good stuff first. This game has a very simple game loop. So it's pretty much dungeon, sell, upgrade, and repeat. It really doesn't deviate from that. The changes here is you get to choose which dungeon, what level of the dungeon, and then you do the treasure stuff, and then you sell. The minigame's decent, and then you upgrade. You get to go to the different NPCs and be like, I want to, work with my bag first, and then do the other stuff. But then you are really just doing the same thing over and over again. Another pro is you get lots of constant upgrades. Pretty much, it's a slow grind for sure, but you get lots of meta upgrades to choose from. It's not just like, okay, bag, then potion, then weapons. You can go ahead and choose between, like, I want to focus on unlocking new weapons. I don't care about the other stuff, that sort of thing. Another pro is it's a clear goal in the game. Pretty much, in a lot of roguelike dungeon node crawling like this, it's usually, I must defeat the boss, I must do this. Here it's, no, just raise the money. You don't have to necessarily beat the boss every single run. Like I said, it's that push your luck aspect. So you can go ahead and, you can even leave a dungeon in the middle of a boss as of like the mechanics right now, as long as you don't die. So just go ahead and try to not die. Another good thing is the action is pretty decent. 4 weapons right now. The build variety is I would say a little lacking, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I'm just, after you use all the different weapon types, I'm sure you're going to find your favorite one. You're going to find your favorite sorts of upgrades and try to push towards them in order to really maximize your run. And I think the last good thing that I want to say here is that the treasure puzzles here are a really nice addition. It's kind of breaks up the monotony of just going to a room, fighting, going to a room and fighting. There isn't any like environmental puzzles, not really. The treasure puzzles is where it's at. It's where you open up a chest, you get you get a bunch of commons and rares, you throw them in your bag, and you have to move them around and make sure that they actually work together. So it's cool because the desert one has the burn mechanics, and if you go to the sci-fi one, it kind of has a sort of a shocking mechanic, which is a little different, and it really changes up the way that you make the puzzles. All right, with that being said, though, let's move on to the cons and weaknesses. Now, remember, guys, this is primarily my experience and my opinions. If you are playing this game at a later date, some of the things might change, so keep that in mind. So I personally love the top-down sprite-based look from the first game. I would say, though, this one still looks decent, but man, those first sprite ones were so good. Oh, that was amazing. This one launched in early access, and as usual, it has all of the early access woes that you pretty much dread. So in this particular game, there's a lot of missing features, and we know that because on the Steam page it says we're planning to add this, add that, blah blah blah. But also in the game, it really like pushes it in your face that says, hey, you want to look at this skill tree? Well, pending, missing features. Also, hey, there's a cool meta upgrades here, also missing features, etc. So it really just, it's pushing in your face that says, it's good and bad, right? Where it says, hey, lots of stuff's coming, but it's also, hey, lots of stuff's coming. You're not playing a complete experience. Another like nitpick thing here is I'm playing with the controller, and my god, the targeting in the game is really bad. There's a lot of auto targeting. You can go ahead and attack an enemy. If they're close enough, you will swing closest to them. It'll auto lock on them. Sometimes when you're using a gun, or when you really need to hit an enemy because they're going to attack you and there's multiple, you want to swing your weapon in a very certain way to take them out, put debuffs on them, etc. And sometimes your character just smacks on one that you don't really want, and that's super freaking annoying. There is an option inside of the menus that say, hey, you can be more easily, you can change up the targeting to be a lot more exactly where you press, but that only works for keyboard and mouse. So hopefully they can make it so it's controller based next time, because my god, it's really freaking annoying. Also, yes, there's stutters, absolutely tons and tons of stutters. I don't know if it's just memory leaks, but it's really annoying. And then I saw some, didn't happen to me personally, but people are saying there's a lot of crashes, so keep that in mind. And also, this is a game where it's a very, very, very slow grind. It's an early access game as well, so it's gonna be up to you whether or not you want to grind the crap out of this game, beat it, and then drop it, and then come back for version 1.0, that sort of thing. Also, the game has lots of weird balancing issues. Some things are just way better than others. There's some dumb skills, or to, not to be very specific, but like, for example, there's some skills that say, hey, you can get a buff if you do this, and then the other one says you get a buff, but then also a debuff at the same. Okay, it's a little hard to explain. Basically, it's saying, hey, you can get better damage through this sort of method. Or another one says you get the same amount of damage, but it applies to everything. And that is in the same choices that you get sometimes when you get skills. That's a little bit better. Also, the game has a sort of date/calendar mechanic where every single day, either nothing happens, or maybe it says, hey, relics from this specific biome sell for more. It was not explained at all, and I found out by press start, looking at the menus, going to the settings, and in the settings there was a codex, and the codex had like a calendar. So I don't know why that's not front to see. Another weakness is, it's a strength and a weakness. The game loop is simple, right? Dungeon, sell, upgrade, repeats. It might not be enough for some people because this is one of those very slow grind games. Depending on how well you do on a treasure run, you just might not get enough for an upgrade, and you're going to be way off for the next chapter. So yeah, there you go. All right, so let's go over some noteworthy things. So the characters and writing, it's the same characters as the first game. It's pretty cool. It's Will. It's nice to see him in a new sort of format, even though I did appreciate the sprite-based one first and foremost. So this game is purely single player as well. You don't need to be online or anything, so that's good. They're saying that this game is going to be in early access as long as the game needs it. That's very vague. They also say they would kind of update it when the game has been launched. It's been a couple of days since it's launched, so who knows if they're going to say anything. And how's the price? $29? And at the moment of recording, it's 25 on a sale. I think 25 is the max that this game should cost right now. I would absolutely pick this up at 20. It's because it's super early access. When it's fully done, I think $30 is a good price. And the replay value, this is a roguelike, right? You're gonna get tons of replayability. I think the game is perfectly fine. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go over the final thoughts and verdict. Who is the game for? I think fans of the first game. If you like it and really, really loved it, you're gonna like this one too. Will is back, slightly different package. You got your 3D environments, but it's the same game loop with added new different treasure puzzles, lots of meta upgrades, and of course the action is pretty good. You know, it really gets hectic once you absolutely learn the ropes, and then you get to like some crazy rooms, tons of enemies on you. It's awesome. My overall takeaway is, yeah, I would recommend it, but it's really hard to recommend it in early access right now. It absolutely has good bones, a very, very great foundation, but a lot of the things need to be ironed out. A lot of the mechanics, a lot of content still needs to be put in. So if you can find it on a sale, maybe buy it, try it out for a bit, but I highly recommend you don't burn out. You know, play it a bit, but I would absolutely, and I'm going to be doing this myself, I'm going to be stopping, not playing the game anymore, and I'm going to wait for version 1.0. This is one of those games where I absolutely want the full experience from beginning to end. I want to, you know, start my character from scratch with all of the expected content that you really want to have. I don't want to play the whole game for 20 hours and then overall there's a bunch of things that I just don't have yet because it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So I like it. Hard to recommend it. So my score and recommendation at the state of early access, this is a 5.5 out of 10. Once all the content is in, the balances, the bugs, the crashes, I can absolutely see this jumping up to an 8 out of 10, but I have to be truthful and honest with you guys if you decide to pick this up in its very early state. Good bones, wait for 1.0, but hey, put on your wish list and buy this on a sale if you can. Alright guys, let me know what you guys think of the new Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault. As mentioned, I'll be uploading what I have on the Let's Play channel, Mobby vs. Games 2. Link down in the description. Thanks so much for being here and watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.